Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. Got yours truly here. Got Timothy and myself, Dakota. It's been, we got 16, 17 days since our last episode. We've been leaving the people hanging.
I know, it's been a lot. A lot has been happening too.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Of course, when we both of us haven't been able to get together because we've both been really busy and everything's falling apart in sports, especially in Philly. So
yeah, I remember last time we did this, we were a lot more optimistic
about everything.
Yeah, things are better. Although, you know what?
I'll say that I'm pretty optimistic about the Eagles this year. It's looking good so far.
Polar opposites, because I felt better about the Sixers than I do now, but I felt worse about the Eagles than I do now.
Well, I'm only my tunnel vision is just now that the Sixers are done, it's just Eagles because the Phillies are so hard to understand. The one day they blew a 7-1 lead against the Mets and lost. And then the other day they blew a 7-1 lead again against the Dodgers, but somehow they won. And I'm just like, what? Can we just get some consistency here?
No, this is the team we knew we were going to get. They're horrific in the field. They don't have any pitching.
Yeah.
Especially and then they can just mash home runs.
They're either losing by they either score one run or they score 10. There is no in between.
Yeah, they can
home runs only.
Any team. They could crush any team they want to, but they could also lose to any team by a lot. No lead is safe. It's the same Phillies we've seen the last two seasons, but just the hitting is much better.
Yeah,
Harper's been real nice.
Harper's a little hurt. Yeah, Schwarber's been nice. Hoskins has been pretty hot the last week or two.
Well, it helps when you have the other guys in the lineup that everyone's going to eat.
Yeah, that's true. But beyond the Phillies, we did have another team playing, and they were in the playoffs. I don't even think we got to talk about the Sixers during their playoff run because we did the draft. We did a playoff preview, and then we went right into the draft. I can't remember off the top of my head. Did I say the Sixers were going to beat the Heat? I feel like I did.
No, I mean, you say a lot of foolish things. It's hard to keep track of it.
I said it was going to go. I think I said it was going to go 7, and then from there it's a coin flip. And I might have picked them. I don't remember. Yeah, I was also counting on a healthy Embiid. I think if Embiid was healthy, they would have easily gotten 7 games. But they just were out. They were manhandled, honestly. I don't know if you said you didn't get to catch much of it because the 5-hour difference over in London, but they just lacked. Game 5 was bad. They were much better in game 6, but they're just getting out hustled, outworked. Miami just wanted it more. It's clear to see. Embiid gave it his all. I don't appreciate everyone shitting on Embiid because he had 20 points on 35% shooting or whatever it was, but at least he went out there and tried. Can't say much for James Harden with his 11 points. We need him to step up. Matisse Thybulle, who I love for his defense, has been almost as bad as Ben Simmons offensively. Actually, he might be worse right now. Yeah. Danny Green got hurt, so that really messed up because he was starting to get a little hot. Tobias was hot and cold. The only consistent was really Embiid when he was healthy, and then Maxey. Harden was there for the assists, but he wasn't there to score when you needed him. That's a problem. They need another. They know the score. I was talking to my coworker, and he was. We were talking about Bradley Beal. If we can hold on to Maxey and even Harden. If we can get a discount on Harden and keep him for the, passing ability, playmaking ability, and then get a Bradley Beal type in here with Embiid and Maxey, that's a huge improvement. The bench is still going to be the bench. The bench sucks, but
listen, in that Heat series, you saw 3 different teams. The first 2 games were a team that had no right even competing against the Heat, and that's the team that went out there without Embiid. They looked like a team that just couldn't even be in the same gym as them, and that's what happens when you're losing your best player on a team.
They look like a borderline play-in team, like a 10-9 seed without Embiid.
That was pretty tough, but that's what you expect about Embiid. He's the best player, and they don't have much behind him. They're not very. They don't have much.
Robbed of MVP.
Then Embiid, that was ridiculous. Then Embiid comes back 3 and 4. They go back home and they look great. They look like the wake up. They're back. They're all we needed was our dude back. Embiid fought through the injury. He went out there for a purpose. James Harden came back like he was the MVP. Everything was clicking for them. But ultimately, when we did our NBA predictions, I said that the Heat were going to beat the Sixers because they lacked the depth and the talent that they needed to go against a team as deep as the Heat. And then you got to the game 5 and 6, which really shocked me. That was where, one, you saw the Heat. They turned it around. They were like, all right, you know what? Backs against the wall to the even series. We need to go out there and win. And the better team went out and won. But the Sixers, man, they came out to make this a series. The whole city was buzzing. And the whole thing changed. You got your MVP, and you were now in a 2-2 series. And then you went and laid an egg. You fell on your face. Joel Embiid, man, I get it. You should have won the MVP. I don't know. That was a robbery. He didn't get the MVP. But instead of coming out like pissed off and motivated, I'm going to prove everyone I should be the MVP. He went out there like he was a teenage girl who got dumped and was just miserable and moping. His body language is terrible. The whole team looked just drained. And it's such a letdown. They made this a series when they brought their guy back, and they fell on their face and didn't even look competitive. They looked nothing like there was no fight. There was no fight at all.
No.
And it's so disappointing. Two different teams. The Heat came when they needed to, and they fought, and they were ready for it. They're a deep team that, man, they had Max Strus, whoever the hell that guy was out there lighting it up.
Anytime they had an open three, that they drained that shit. Like, I was like, oh, you got it. Especially when like so what happened at the end of yesterday's game, the finale, or game 6 elimination, whatever. The Sixers came out of the fourth quarter horrible, and then he went up by like 17 or 18, and with like 6 minutes left, and everyone's like, oh, everyone started leaving, and then Maxey and Shake Milton literally like carried the team to close it to like a 9-point difference with like 3 minutes left. It was actually really impressive. But then like you said, like the Heat they still made their shots, and I was like, well, can try as hard as we want. They just want it more. Like, that was a simple fact.
That's this team. Like, they look dead in the water. I mean, the fourth quarter was the end, but that game, I watched the first half, then I went to bed, and I watched a little bit of the second half in the morning to catch up on it. I watched that game, and I was like, there's no way they win this game. Just look at the body line; they're not even close. Like, yeah, the only guy you had show up, the two guys you mentioned, is one, a young guy, a young, energized guy who probably doesn't know any better when you're going to lose, and then a guy off the bench who just is trying to make the most of his minutes. Your superstars, I don't know how many times I saw James Harden just get beat on an offensive rebound. He didn't want to box anyone out, so he just got beat. Joel Embiid just didn't look like the MVP I saw in game 3, 4, and 4. Thibault just missed his chance. There was nothing there. Nothing there.
I knew it was over when... I mean, they were only down by 1.5. They played pretty well in the second quarter, I lied. They didn't play that great in the second quarter. It was whatever. It doesn't matter. I knew the game was over in the fourth when I think they were playing pretty well defensively for a little bit, and then the Heat started like pounding on them, and then Jimmy Butler drove. He drove and missed. Like, either it was like he went up for a shot or a layup or whatever, and he missed, and the ball bounced to the side, and you see all these blue shirts, all these Sixers standing there, and what does Jimmy Butler do? He runs the sideline, gets his own rebound, drills a 3. I was like, that's it right there. There's no hustle, there's no want to win, there's no like they all play like James Harden, like
that's and careless. You know what? Listen, I mean,
turnover machine Harden.
Easy solution, just get Bradley Beal. He'll make everything better. He's a superstar, of course. Yeah, but first off, I'm not doing anything with Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey's staying here. I don't care who you got.
I would be fine with like Tobias and Thibault for Beal or something like that.
I mean, me and you would be. I don't think Washington would, but I actually think. I mean, I'm not really surprised the way the Heat series played out, because I mean, in our predictions, I said the Sixers are going to lose the Heat, and I said it was because the Heat are deep. They have a team full of veteran championship players that know what they're going to do. And when it went game 5, they knew they had to go and win a game, and they did. And the Sixers didn't show up. I mean, Harden's going to get a lot of criticism, and he did not show up in the last game and didn't have any hustle or anything. But the guy came in mid-season. Like, this team's there is no depth to this team. And to be honest, if you had Seth Curry and Andre Drummond and didn't have James Harden, they're still losing to the Miami Heat in the second round, without a doubt in my mind. This team needs, and I think this is where you bring back Harden. I think that's your best option. I just don't see you bringing in a Bradley Beal without giving him Maxey, which I don't want to do. I think you bring in Harden if he's willing to come off a max contract. And then you need to surround this team with PJ Tuckers, with Kyle Lowry's, Victor Oladipo's, these guys that are veterans that know what they're doing. Look at, man, like PJ Tucker was a game changer. Victor Oladipo came back from the dead. He played 8 games in the regular season.
Did you hear what you just said? PJ Tucker was a game changer. That should not have been a sentence. I know. But you know what? I know, but I'm saying that shouldn't be a thing. Like they should have. He's like that's what 59 years old. Why did they let him do whatever he wanted?
You're talking about, dude, you're talking about a guy who's coming off a championship last year, and he did the same thing with Milwaukee. Look at Milwaukee last year. They had guys like PJ Tucker, Bobby Portis. These guys are so important to a championship team. You have your superstar, but man, remember before the Bucks won, Giannis they would build walls in front of Giannis those 2 or 3 years when he was MVP, and he couldn't get out of the second round of the playoffs because they realized that you needed to get away from your superstar. Like in the playoffs, they're going to just take away your superstar, or that's going to be the game plan every single game. You need guys to step up, and we knew the Sixers weren't going to step up. Listen, Tyball's got no offensive game. Furkan shouldn't see the floor. DeAndre Jordan was horrific as a buyout option. Pissed me off more than anything. I think it was game 1.
Played like 2 seconds in the playoffs.
Yeah, but in the game 1 and 2, when he got minutes because Embiid was out, just infuriated me hearing game 1, whoever it was, Grant Hill or Reggie Miller, whoever was saying, "Oh, he gave great minutes." Like, dude, are you watching the same game I am? Like, but this is your backup center. Like, he's got to play. Like, you have your best player is Joel Embiid. You need to give him a rest every once in a while. Like, this team didn't have the depth that you need. They didn't have the guys you needed. They have a superstar that can carry you. I think James Harden could be your number 2. I think Tyrese Maxey's a very good player. I think Tobias Harris, exceeded all expectations in the playoffs, but they missed the other guys. You didn't have the Bobby Portises, the PJ Tuckers, the Victor Oladipos, the Max Struses of the world. Like, it's just, that's what this team's missing. And Joel Embiid talked about it. He's like, we missed toughness. He even complimented PJ Tucker and said, we need guys like that. And that's exactly what you need. And let's see, Daryl Morey's got to make his money. I don't know. I don't not like the fact that he's bringing I'm indifferent on Dak Rivers. I lean more towards not bringing him back, but I don't know who else you bring in. There's no one on that coaching market that excites me.
Yeah, I like Doc. I respect him. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I don't know if some of his late game, he blows too many leads. His adjustments aren't great late in games, but I don't want Mike D'Antoni, and if that's the other option, I'll stay with Doc. You know who
the best option probably is Frank Vogel. Jay Wright.
I don't want Vogel. No.
Who the hell knows what you're getting with Jay Wright? I mean, I love the guy; he's a legend, but it's college basketball. I haven't seen many college basketball coaches come in up to the ranks of the NBA and start dominating right away. It's tough. The Sixers are in a tough spot where I don't necessarily think the model of James Harden, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers can't win. I think that they need to fully invest in this team, bring in some guys. I mean, think about it. You lost Seth Curry and Andre Drummond with a team that didn't have much depth to begin with. Then you trade away 2 of your depth pieces. You need to build this roster out.
I mean, I still think they wouldn't have gotten as far with Drummond and Seth, but I think
they lose to the Heat.
They would have made out the first, but this is the 4th time in 5 years that they've lost in the second round. They haven't gotten farther than that.
And you know what? But this is the other thing. Like, you gave away a max. I mean, not gave away, but you were in a transition year from one of your max contract players. This year was going to be tough regardless because Simmons was a coward and didn't want to play. Yeah. Regardless if you traded him or not, you were going to have to patch this whole thing together on the fly. You had one of your best players and one of your max contract players and one of your franchise pillars didn't want to play. Like, this season was going to be a tough ask. Too much to expect from Embiid to carry them any further than he did. And, I mean, Harden comes onto the team, but he's only been here since March. You can't kill the guy that much. He's clearly lost a half a step, but he doesn't need to be Houston Rockets James Harden. He needs to show up and score more than 11 points or whatever it was in the last game and put some effort out there on the offensive glass. But this team wasn't going to go any further if you didn't bring in James Harden. This isn't James Harden. This really comes down to the whole Ben Simmons saga. I mean, what were you going to do? This team without Ben Simmons in the capacity that they were in before the trade wasn't going to get past the Heat. the trade you made mid-season to patchwork this team together and give away the little depth you had wasn't going to get past the Heat. If you had Ben Simmons on this team, you still weren't getting past the Heat. It was a transition year because you were moving on from Simmons. You were held hostage by him. And
you want to hear a devastating stat?
What?
If I'm remembering it correctly, James Harden had the same amount of shots in the third and fourth quarter of Game 6 as did Ben Simmons in last year's game.
No, I mean, yeah, but
which was like 2.
Yeah, at least James Harden standing on the 3-point line spaced out the defense a little bit. Ben Simmons standing on the 3-point line did nothing. I mean, he's as valuable as me sitting out there.
That's another testament to how gritty the Heat play, because they're like, fuck the rest of your players. We're going to triple team Joel Embiid because you guys can't score. And they were right. We couldn't. So,
but that's what playoff basketball is. They're not going to just let your superstar just dominate you, like, drop 50 points on you and win a game. The Heat are incredible. I have them in the finals when we did our predictions because this team's so deep. And listen, Jimmy Butler's incredible and he was awesome, but it's the fact that they got guys like Oladipo, PJ Tucker, Bam, Kyle Lowry when he's
Tyler Hero,
threes
left and right.
Dude, you're talking about the 6th man of the year, a defensive player of the year candidate, a superstar in Jimmy Butler, plus depth. Duncan Robinson didn't even sniff the game.
I was gonna say, and he's a top
one of the best 3-point shooters.
Yeah,
you got undrafted guys like, what's the guy's name? Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Deadman out there getting minutes and making the most of them. Like, that is the equivalent of our Furkan Korkmaz, DeAndre Jordan, and like Shake Milton. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, that's the problem. So the issue now going forward is, how do you build the team? Because you can go for a player like a Bradley Beal and then kind of piece together a bench, or you can do the Miami Heat approach and you build. Now that one takes longer, obviously, but Miami they're great with player development. They always have these guys they draft and build up, and then they grab these players that just fit their system in free agency or in trades. And I mean, Jimmy Butler's a demon in the playoffs, and it hurt me so bad that I don't know if you caught his post game interview, but he said basically he was like, "Oh, I still love Embiid. He's my guy. I wish I could still play." He said, "I wish I could still play on his team." He didn't say, "I wish I could still be on the Sixers." But
he was going to say that.
Yeah,
not when he's wearing Miami Heat jersey.
Well, no, because he was like, it sounded like he was like, "Oh yeah, I wish I was still playing on this team, but I love Miami Heat." And I was like, "Of course, yeah." Well, we chose not to.
That was the mistake. That was the mistake in itself. And this was a transition year because of Ben Simmons, and that was a complete failure on your part. But this is the cost of making a mistake, like keeping Ben Simmons and Max.
Sixers have been making a lot of mistakes.
Well,
Embiid is the only bright spot.
Yeah, well, Maxi.
We're getting there. So
yeah, I'll stop with that. But look at. All right, you talk about the Miami Heat. Look at the guys they brought in this year: Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, and PJ Tucker.
Kyle Lowry didn't even play. Actually, the game he played, they looked worse. So
yeah, true, but still, he makes an impact.
Yeah.
But PJ Tucker, Victor Oladipo, who was dead. Literally, I think his body just gave up on him. Came back from the dead to go out there and get some minutes and produce. They're not superstars, but they're guys that can play their role and play it hard and effective.
I will say, if we had, Harden, a healthy Embiid, a healthy Danny Green, and still had Curry and Drummond, because those were off-season pickups, I think it would be a much better team. Obviously, you have to give those up to get pieces like Harden, but I don't know. We'll see what they do. I mean, this is a very important offseason. Because Embiid is in his prime, and the way he plays, he's not going to be, the perennial MVP candidate, more than a couple more years, I feel like. So we'll see.
I mean, listen, I think, this year was the best Joel Embiid I've ever seen. What he was doing out there is just, I think his stroke looked incredible. He's got the 3-point game really excelled this year. His movement with the ball, man, he just takes anyone.
I will say, if anyone didn't see, I'm sure there's highlights. I think it was Was it game 5? Might be game 5 or game 4. But look up Joel Embiid guarding Victor Oladipo. I've never seen
so good.
a 7-foot man run so fast and still maintain his like balance and guard another player. It was incredible. That's the defense that you love. That's the thing. He's still, he was a leading scorer in the NBA, and he's second team, third team, or was he? Maybe it was first team this year. All defense team. So like,
yeah.
What more do you want?
I mean, this offseason is going to be tricky because I still think, I know he gets crushed, but I still think I want to bring back James Harden. I'm not really interested in bringing him back on a max contract because we already have one of those mistakes.
They can't give him a max. There's no way.
I mean, listen, Tobias is not worth a max. He was nice in the playoffs, but he's not worth the max.
Well,
and that's
Tobias max is not a James Harden max, though.
Well, yeah, no, true. Yeah, I agree with you there.
They did ask Harden about his contract, and he said, "I'll do what I have to do to help get this team a championship." I don't know how much of a lie that is, but we'll see when it comes to bringing him back.
We'll see. I mean, listen, I never James Harden. Well, I mean, when James Harden wants to get traded, he changes his persona completely. But when James Harden is playing basketball, he's not really that like this diva that like it just can't be playing with.
It's not. I didn't mean that. I just mean like his performance does not warrant that. Like,
oh yeah, no,
he had 31 points in the one game, and he was shooting lights out, and but you got to be. I think it was game 4. He had 31. You got to be better than like 11 fucking points in an elimination game. I don't care if you're the facilitator. You got to step up when your best player is got a torn ligament in his thumb. Or facial fracture and can barely stand because he keeps tripping over himself. And you got Maxey flying to the court, missing half of his layups because he's the only one trying to score. It's we'll see.
I mean, we'll see. It's really hard to say you're proud of anyone's performance. I mean, Maxey didn't look great. He was 1 of 7 from the 3, 9 of 22 on the floor.
No, Maxey had a rough. I mean, he was aggressive at the end. That's where he got a lot of his points, but he has games like that though, and that's why you need other players to step up, like Tobias Harris or a Matisse Thybulle, who still waiting for him to fucking shoot the ball.
Yeah, but you just look. I mean, like Matisse Thybulle, 12 minutes. That's probably too much for just a defensive guy that has no offensive game. I mean, he's lost his luster. 15 minutes for George Niang.
I mean, Danny Green's gone. He might retire because the injury's bad enough.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at the bench, man. Like, look at the first 5 names off the bench: George Niang, Paul Reed, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, and Furkan Korkmaz. Like,
Shake's fine, but the rest of them are meh.
Yeah, look at the Heat's first 5 guys off the bench: Caleb Martin, Dedmon, Hero, Oladipo, Robinson. Like, these guys just
like the fact that Hero and Oladipo are on the bench says enough. Like,
yeah. It's just 2 different teams, different attitudes too, man. I mean, this was a transition year. You're foolish if you thought that you had your hopes too high. You knew Ben Simmons was going to handcuff this whole year. This is the real problem. This was what you want to look at Daryl Morey and be like, what the fuck, man? Because if you moved on from him in the offseason, this season could have been different. But you held on to him in the season. You kept this circus going all year. I mean, I'm happy with the trade they made with him. I was happy when they did it. Obviously, it didn't really work out at the end, but this is what happens when you keep this circus alive. You keep this soft ass max player you have on the bench who refuses to come back. This team's just a distraction. You have a distraction all year lingering over you, and anything you do is going to be a slap. You're going to have to be slapping something together like you did with Harden. You got to throw them out there and hope it all works out. I don't know. With the situation you were in, it's pretty tough. We'll see what happens. I think this team needs to prioritize building a team, get some depth on. Give James Harden.
The bench has always been an issue since Embiid's been an all-star. They've always had a terrible bench. So,
well, to be fair, that's just. I mean, look at the Horford deal. That was horrific. That was a horrible idea.
The best bench they had was probably the Jimmy Butler year.
Well, that's because the team was loaded. You had Tobias Harris, Butler, Embiid, Simmons, and whoever else was starting. I don't even remember who the 5th guy was on the floor.
Who was the other guy?
I don't remember.
Who would it have been?
It's Chedick.
Who?
JJ Redick.
Oh, Reddick. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, that was a good team. Then too bad they.
Hey, we'll see.
lost
I
to
mean,
a-
listen, it's up to Maury now. Maury's got to really fill out this team. He already decided he's keeping Doc. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not in love with the idea of bringing back Doc, but I also am not naive to know that there's nothing else out there. What do you want? The other names that have been fired and hired from three different coaching jobs in the last decade.
Honestly, the only names that come to mind that I would be down for are either keeping Doc and just building the team up better, giving them actual good bench players. Jay Wright, if he wanted to come to the NBA, or to really spice up the NBA, hire Dawn Staley from South Carolina women's basketball team, because she's from Philly. She's had a lot of NBA ties already, so.
I like the idea of the diversity and everything, but this is a team that I want to compete for a championship right now. Bringing in a coach with no head coaching experience in the NBA is not necessarily what I'm looking for right now.
I mean, Doc Rivers looks like he needs a walker every time he walks around the court. So.
Oh, listen, I'm not. That was not a compliment to Doc. This is just like, I want to bring in a guy that's been there and they don't grow on trees. I think my number one option if we moved on for Doc would be Frank Vogel, and I'm not saying that's something I'm super into.
I don't like Frank Vogel.
But you want someone that's been there. This is a team that's ready to compete right now. I don't know. I mean, you're in the tough spot. I don't love the idea of bringing back Doc, but I don't see any other options. I agree, though.
There isn't. Yeah. As far as like planted NBA coaches, no, there are no better options than.
Or even like just those superstars waiting in the wing, like when when Toronto fired Dwayne Casey because they had Nick Nurse waiting, or I don't know. I mean, Steve Nash got his job because he was best friends with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, but there's not really I don't know, Sam Cassell maybe, or who's the other guy?
It's all former players now, because who's coaching the Mavs? It's Jason Kidd, right?
Jason Kidd, yeah. But what have they done? I mean, I know there's a new trend of hiring former players as coaches. What have they done? Steve Nash does not look good. Jason Kidd, I mean, yeah, the Mavericks are fighting. They're in Game 7, but these two guys, Nash and Kidd, they also went to teams with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and Luka Doncic. Whoever takes on the Sixers will have Joel Embiid, but still, I'd want someone for a team that I think should be expecting to compete. I want someone that is more established.
Yeah. Well, in case you weren't listening in that entire conversation, the Sixers did in fact lose to Miami Heat in Game 6 of the second round of the NBA playoffs, aka they have been eliminated once again. Another year, same story. Elsewhere, so today it is Friday the 13th. Ooh, spooky. The Suns and Mavericks are going to a Game 7 because the Mavericks won last night. Kind of wild. I would not have expected. Actually, all these games are like Game 6 or more, which is kind of surprising. I feel like I didn't expect it to be this tight, but
second round. It's competitive now.
Yeah, we got Milwaukee's up 3-2 on the Celtics. They play tonight, Friday, and then the Warriors and Grizzlies play the same night after them. They're also up. Golden State's up 3-2. So
I got to say, the theme of the second round, though, injuries. Devin Booker out, John Morant out, Chris Middleton out, and Embiid obviously missed his time. It's very interesting to see these series still going on so long and so late with these major players out.
I think you picked Warriors and Heat, right? Or did you pick Suns and Heat in the finals?
Sun and Heat in the finals.
The way the Heat, because Heat are probably gonna get Lowry back. I could see the Heat beat, because I think the Bucks will beat the Celtics.
And I don't know. The Bucks, do not knock the Bucks out. They've looked real good. I mean, considering what they're doing right now without Chris Middleton, I think they're going to wrap up the series against the Celtics tonight. They look like they're going to give me the Bucks versus the Heat. That is a series I'll stay up for. That is, that's two Titans at it. That's two deep Titans. That are two teams. Daryl Morey, watch that series, because those are the teams you need to build around. Two deep teams with championship caliber guys that knows what it takes in the playoffs. People that play up to it. When the PJ Tuckers, the Bobby Portises, the Victor Oladipos, get those guys. The Kyle Lowrys, go get those guys.
Yeah, and I think the Warriors. I mean, no John Morant for the Grizzlies. I think the Warriors take care of business. So
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you there. The Grizzlies have been fun, and John Morant is electric. But without John Morant, I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Should we switch to what I've been dying to talk about? Because it's been a couple weeks now, a lot has happened.
What are you dying to talk about?
Let's talk about the birds.
Oh, the birds, baby.
Can I tell you one thing? That one of the I don't know, the perks, downsides, whatever you want to call it, for living at 5 hours ahead of you in time zones is I can't stay up late for everything. Mm-hmm. And the 8:00 draft time, 1:00 over here is just one of those events I'm not staying up for.
Fair.
But I'll tell you one thing. The perks of this is when I wake up in the morning and I check my phone, I don't need a cup of coffee when I see the phone light up and I see AJ Brown on the Eagles, or I see Nakobe Dean to the Eagles in the 3rd round. Those are days I don't need coffee. Yeah. And I'll tell you, the other side of this is I woke up, I think it was I don't know, whatever the 2nd round of the draft was. I was so confused and my emotions were all over the place. I woke up and the Phillies had been no-hit. Joel Embiid was ruled out for the playoffs, and Nakobe Dean was an Eagle in the 3rd round. And I was just like, I don't even know where to begin here. This is a lot to process at 8:30 in the morning. I haven't even fully awakened yet, and there's a lot in my mind. But I think
that was the 2nd day. I'm pretty sure the first that Thursday it was all Philly. Like the Sixers finished the Raptors. Yeah. But Embiid got hurt. The Phillies, I'm pretty sure, won because then the next couple days they got no hit. And something happened. I think the Flyers didn't play, so that was a win. But
yeah, exactly.
It was I'll tell you, me and Nick were watching it at his place, and it was really funny because obviously I predicted the Eagles were going to take Jordan Davis, so I was cool with that. Not sure I would have. I think they only moved up because of the Ravens were there.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. Listen, you know what? Can I'll say this and I'll let you finish.
Okay.
Bitching because I had the same mentality of you. I loved the Jordan Davis pick. Didn't like that they had to move up. That is the most first world football problem in the world. Yeah. Like, if the guy's good, who gives a shit that we gave up a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick to move up? But I do agree with you 100%. I love the pick. Didn't like the way to move up from.
Yeah. So my initial thought process was we had 2 receivers. Well, we had Drake. What was his name? Drake London went to the Falcons at 8, and then we had the Ohio State guy went at 10, and then another Jameson Williams. No, who was it?
Olave for the Saints.
He went. Was that 11 or 12? I think that was 11, and then 12 was there, and the Lions traded up, and then the Eagles traded up to 13, and I was like, oh, are they trying to get a receiver? Because Jameson Williams was still there, and I was like, oh, this could be for him. And then the Lions took him, and I was like, 3 receivers in a row? And why would the Lions take a receiver here? And then I was like, all right, well, who's left? Maybe Jordan Davis. And then they took Jordan Davis. Maybe that's who they trade up for it anyways, but it is what it is. Then a couple picks later happened. Eagles are on the clock. And all of a sudden I see it, the ticker at the bottom changed, and it said Titans are now on the clock. And I turned to Nick and I was like, did you see that? We just traded with the Titans. He's like, oh, well, that was weird. And then we both kind of stared at it for a second. Yeah. Complete silence. And then we looked at each other at the same time. We're like, no, AJ Brown? No, it couldn't be. And we started, we started freaking out. We're like, we immediately jumped to Twitter and we're like, is this possible? Is this what they're going to do? And then slowly the news broke and we got AJ Brown for a first and a 3rd. Absolute
steal. Even the contract they gave him wasn't even listen, you paid him a number 1 wide receiver salary. I hate the people who are like, oh, look at the money you got to pay him. Blah, blah. Dude, did you see the $30 million the fucking Dolphins just gave Tyreek Hill?
That was a great contract.
Yeah, it was a wonderful contract. Considering we got him from a team that didn't want to pay him and we got him at that deal, awesome. I always look at when you trade for superstars, away from situations where their teams don't want to just give them a huge contract. As long as they're not getting a Tyreek Hill contract, you win. Like, as long as you don't break the market, you win. I give Howie so much credit. These last two drafts, he's really, really made up for his sins.
Yeah.
And listen, I know we both bitched about them trading up for Jordan Davis, but I love Jordan Davis, man. I think he's a really good player. I liked him a lot with Georgia.
I don't understand people like saying, "Oh, he's a 2-down player. He can't play in the NFL." Blah blah.
Did they fucking see the defense that Georgia was running out there? Why would they leave him out there when they have the defense that Georgia has?
It's like, first of all, he's not going to be asked to start and play 3 downs every drive. He's going to be a rotational guy, get his footing in the NFL, eventually take over for Fletch, and he's going to have plenty of time to either get in shape or figure out how he's going to stay on the field. He doesn't, like you said, Georgia rotated. Georgia had an NFL defense. They were rotating players all the time, keeping them fresh so that they could bully people. That's what the NFL does. The Eagles love their rotations.
Do people realize that, like, he played maybe the first 2 downs and they took him off the field, but like the number 1 overall pick was like part of that defense that they would keep on the field during the third. Like, the team was so deep. Like, why wouldn't you? The Eagles did it in 2017. Is Fletcher Cox bad because he rotated with the defensive line that they had? No, it's just you had the depth. Why wouldn't you? I love it. I mean, listen, this is how he back-to-back years trading up for the guy he wanted. It worked with Smith. I'm very confident it's going to work with Davis. But more importantly, how we work on them phones, realizing that, you know what, this team needs a wide receiver, mostly because I fucking suck at drafting wide receivers. Let me just go and get one. We heard all the rumors about the wide receivers, Debo, AJ Brown, DK, all wanted to be traded. We were all pissed that Tyreek Hill, that the Eagles weren't even talking to Tyreek Hill or in on Devontae Adams or anything like that. But dude, give me AJ Brown at, what is it? Like, I think it's like 24, a mil a year when Tyreek Hill was 30, like, and 5 draft picks. Dude, you got AJ Brown for like 24 mil a year and a first and a third. The Dolphins gave up 30 mil a year and 5 draft picks to go get Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, I think, is a better player, but is he that much better than AJ Brown? I don't think so.
Different play style.
Different play style, and even better. And you know what? I've been very critical to Howie, but even more credit to Howie is he basically leveraged himself. He hedged his bet and got those picks. He's got 2 first-round picks next year. Yep. So why do we give a shit that we turned 3 first-round picks into 1? I mean, we got 1 rookie this year out of 3 first-round picks, but we have 2 more next year. The guy hedged his bets. It stings a little more if AJ Brown's your only, you get your AJ Brown, you don't have any rookies this year. But we got Jordan Davis, AJ Brown, and we have 2 first-round picks next year.
Yeah, they went from having like
incredible
ton of draft picks to only taking like 5 or 6 players.
But they took the guys they wanted. The first 3 picks, look at it. Davis, love him. What's the other guys? Humphrey, Hungry, something. I don't know. He's an interior offensive lineman.
Cam Jurgens.
That's it. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so very close.
But like, Jurgens kind of reminds me of Dickerson. And then you got Nakobe Dean III. Yeah, they packaged their numerous picks into using them to get guys they wanted. I'm convinced that Jurgens, Dean, and Davis are all guys that were near the top of the Eagles draft board, and they went and did it. And that's what you should do, man. Accumulate picks and use those picks to go get the guys you want. Don't just bring in 10 fucking bodies just to cut half of them and then, keep and then another quarter of them to suck. Use your draft picks to go and get value and go get the guys you like. If you have enough draft picks, no one on the draft board is out of your reach. Shit, if you wanted to, you could probably go on Trayvon Walker and first overall pick. I'm sure the Jaguars would have listened. Just use your picks to get the guys you want. So I think the Eagles did that 100%. Very happy.
Yeah, I'll give Howie his due. He's had back-to-back very good drafts and very good off seasons. So he's back in the good doghouse.
He is, but you know what? It was to make up for the 2 horrific ones he had the 2 years before. So I'll give Howie his due. I was definitely leading the charge to get his ass out of here, but he has really changed it around.
Now I don't think anything can top the AJ Brown. Like that for me is the biggest like takeaway from the draft weekend. But I know you're not, that great at math, but let's see. Nakobe Dean was
Thank you.
taken number 83 overall. What's 83 minus 15? 68.
Sure.
So I would have been totally fine with Nakobe Dean at 15.
I
And
put him in when we did our mock draft. I had them drafting Nakobe Dean.
Yeah. In the first round, we got him 68 players later. He was still there. I was like, once they skipped on him in the second round, I was like, that's too late. He's gone. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sat there at 83. I was like, I still was like, there's no way they're going to take him. If they didn't take him earlier, they're not going to take him now. And then I hear the Kobe Dean. I was like, oh. And you better believe he's got a chip on his shoulder now.
Oh, for sure.
And to pair him with Jordan Davis, like, oh my god,
I love it.
I'm so excited to see if I want to see them wreak havoc. It'll be fun.
I wanted to on our mock draft. I had Nakobe Dean to the Eagles in the first round. I think at 15. I think I had their 15th pick, not their 18th pick. And just like I would have been happy with that. And then like you factor in, okay, you still got Dean, but you managed to get AJ Brown, Jordan Davis, and Jurgens while also getting them. Like, how can you not be happy? When Howie has made a habit of reaching for guys that I just didn't see the value in, Rager, Whiteside, just shit. If you want to even put what's his face, the guy that got hurt, Sidney Jones. There's numerous guys that the Eagles have drafted before, anyone else was really interested in them. I think they had the complete opposite approach. I think they got everyone in a position where it was good value. I mean, Jordan Davis, they had to trade up and get him from him. I still think him at 13 is good value.
Yeah.
Me just being a snob and first world problems is bitching that we had to trade up in front to get him. But let's be realistic. Who wouldn't want him? Dude's massive nose tackle on the best defensive team we've seen in college football ever.
I'm just trying to fathom that the Eagles this offseason, the offseason plus the draft, have tackled their two probably biggest weaknesses, which were wide receiver. And now I would argue that they have, if you factor Goddard in there, they probably have a top 10 wide receiver group. But, 9 or 10, but it's
yeah.
And you'll get linebacker. You got Davion Taylor, who's still growing, still learning. He started coming on nicely in the end until he got hurt. TJ Edwards is solid plug and play guy. Then you got Kaiser White, who started for the Chargers, had 100-some tackles. And now you've got Nakobe Dean and then Hassan Reddick off the edge. That's a lot of a good improvement to me. So I'm pleasantly happy with it.
Yeah, I'm very happy with those. Honestly, it's gone much better than I could have ever dreamed of. I was hoping for like 2 defenders and a wide receiver. And then we managed to turn it into 2 first-round picks next year, AJ Brown and Jordan Davis. And the guy I ultimately wanted in the first round, Nakobe Dean. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Really, really happy. I mean, AJ Brown's the best wide receiver I think Philly's seen since T.O.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah. And then not to, forget the other guys. There were 2 other picks in the 6th round. Edge rusher from Kansas, Kyron Johnson, which I haven't heard much about, but I heard he's actually, pretty quick. And then Grant Calcaterra, who I think played with Jalen Hurts for a season from Oklahoma. So, I mean, they'll be depth guys, but, it's good to have. I will say if there's one nitpick that, and I can't really nitpick because I would still rather have Nakobe Dean, AJ Brown, and Davis instead of this, but I was shocked they didn't go after a corner or a safety in the first 3 rounds.
Hey, you know what? Value.
But
they went
turned out to be fine.
Year.
So
maybe, you know what? You know who's floating around there? I wouldn't mind if they whispered to James Bradbury. Yeah. Wouldn't mind if they whispered to him. Just seeing what you're up to. Just be like, hey, what's up, bro? What are you doing?
You want to get some revenge on the Giants? Say less.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, you're in May. Free agency.
There'll be a Steve Nelson signing. He'll sign 2 weeks before the season starts. And
exactly. I was to say you're in May. Midway May. Every free agent at this point is at the right price. There's a reason they're still around in midway May. So going off that, I think we can wrap this up with the brand new. Obviously, we've been catching up with everything that happened the last 3 weeks. Now we get to talk about something that just happened today. I'm not sure.
Yesterday for us, but yeah.
Oh, same thing. So we got the schedule release,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I actually saw that the Eagles were definitely top 5, but I want to say they're like almost top 3 easiest schedule next year.
All I know is that the Dallas Cowboys have the easiest schedule from what I was told. So
I think I'm not gonna lie. I think the NFC East is like 4 of the top 5.
I mean, looking at it now, yeah, but it looks pretty easy.
There is one tough stretch. So I'll run it through you. I'll whisper in your ear and give you some of the good stuff.
I mean, we
We
can go
start,
game by. I say we go game by game and just pick and see what the
okay.
schedule.
So
See what the ranking
we
record.
start the
Can't speak.
schedule. We start the schedule with Detroit coming to Philly,
Uh-huh.
September 11th, 2022. Never forget, but there is going to be a travesty happening to the Detroit Lions.
Oh, a
I think this is
travesty.
going to be. I think this is going to be a beatdown. I think this is a let's
You
get the
know, but
season
that's
going.
that's a typical Eagles way to start the season on a low level team and just smack the shit out of them, and then come to week 2 and lose the home opener to the Vikings on Monday Night Football.
I actually would not be surprised if that's exactly. I actually think that is exactly what's going to happen. I think
Yeah,
we smack the Lions and probably lose against the Vikings.
yeah.
But then we get to welcome back Carson Wentz.
Oh God. Well, not welcome back because it's away, but
Oh, I'm sorry, I had it the other way. But yeah, we welcome back or say hello to Carson Wentz.
I'll go on a limb and say yes, the Eagles will win that game.
I think they will too. I'm not impressed with Commanders or whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah,
They just they're a train wreck. I mean, you know what? Some part of me maybe thinks Carson Wentz finds his way and shows out there, but yeah,
too early.
Yeah. So I'll give us a W there.
All right, week 4, bring Jacksonville to town.
Oh, the same beatdown we gave to Detroit, we're giving to Jacksonville.
Wow, so Eagles are going to be 3-1 after 4 games.
Yeah, but then we're gonna get then we gotta start talking. I don't like this going to Arizona game. That's
Oh, you
I
think
do
that's a
think
loss?
yeah, you know what I was me. I was high on the Cardinals last year.
You were.
I if they figure out this Kyler Murray thing, I think that with Marquise Brown there, Hopkins is suspended, so he'll miss this game. But I think the Cardinals could be a real team next year. I think they could be a real contender, a real problem.
All right, so we'll have the Cardinals win. Then we have week 6 is Cowboys at Eagles. Yeah, I
Monday Night
still
Football.
is it Monday Night Football?
It is.
No, it says Sunday. Sunday Night Football.
I'm sorry. It's
Monday
British.
morning
It's
football
one.
for you.
Yeah. Sorry. It happened. It happens more
Monday
than you
AM
think.
football. God damn.
It's just 1:20 in the morning Monday.
I think I think they split with Dallas again this year.
All right, here.
But which
Hear me
game?
out
But
here.
which game do they win? Is the question.
I was to say, hear me out here. Which one would you rather win? Sunday Night Football before the bye at home, or in Dallas on Christmas Eve? They both are prime.
Ooh,
Those are both prime games. Like I don't want to lose either of
ooh.
them, but I agree with you. I think we're going to lose one of them. I think that I think we lose the game before the bye week. We're on a 2-game losing streak. We go into the bye. People, you know how Philly sports is. We're chirping, we're chiming. But I think we ultimately pick it together because at the end of the schedule, when we get through it, the last 5 games are pretty easy. I think
Mhm.
that's the game we win. I think we end the season on a high note.
I mean, going into the week 7 by 3-3, I could see that. Little stumbling out the gate, and then they. I mean, the Eagles always finish strong. So
Coming out of the bye,
Steelers.
you're in Pitts. You get. I think
We're
you
in
win
Philly.
in Philly. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant.
They
You
don't have a
welcome
quarterback.
Pittsburgh.
They don't have a fucking
Yeah, I
quarterback.
think you win. I think you win Pittsburgh, and then I think you give the same beatdown you just gave to the Jaguars in Detroit to Houston.
A lot of beatdowns going around. We got to have a couple of 40 pieces.
This is what happens when you play a trash schedule. Then okay, so now the big one is wow, we welcome Carson Wentz back home on Monday Night Football. Look at that.
And they had long rest because the Texans game was on a Thursday. So I think they sweep Washington. I think Washington. I think they're a good. They have the makings of a solid team, but I don't know. I don't think I like I want to like Carson still, but I don't think he's the answer for them.
I agree with you. I think we beat Washington again. Now we get to easily the hardest part of the schedule. You start with the Colts. I think that's an L. I think the Colts are a team to reckon with this year in a very weak.
You think he goes back to it? You think Sirianni goes to his old team and loses in Indianapolis?
You think Frank Reich welcomes his former team and loses?
Well, here's the thing. I think they'll beat. I don't think it'll be the same as last year where they lose to all the good teams. I think they'll win one of these. So I think they either beat the Colts or they beat the Packers. Not both, but I think they beat one of them. So who are you picking?
Honestly, I feel more confident beating the Packers. I'm not very scared of the Packers this year. This team is not a very strong team.
We lose to the Colts in Indianapolis and then beat the Packers at home.
Yeah, why not? On Sunday Night Football, why not? You know what? I have Arizona and Indianapolis
because this is how
team for me.
This is how I look at it. You beat or you lose to Indianapolis. You go on a little streak here, right? You beat Green Bay, then you got the Titans, who I don't know how good they're going to be with Tannehill still kind of.
I could see you losing that game though. The Titans, listen, they all say AJ Brown, but they're not an awful team. I don't think they're going to be like a number one seed in the AFC like they've been the last couple of years, but they're not a bad team. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose to the Titans there. I'd probably say L to the Titans.
You stole all my thunder of my win streak. All right.
Yeah, but you know what?
I'll agree. I'll agree with you there.
Listen to me here. How likely is this? How much do you believe this? It writes his own story. You beat Green Bay on a massive upset on national TV, and then fall flat and lose to the Titans the next week. That just seems like the most Philadelphia.
I mean thing. that should be just tattooed on every Eagles player because that sounds about right.
But then we get to the fun part.
So here's where I look at it. Fine, you lose, you split a couple tougher games. That is a pretty brutal 3-game stretch. I'll give Washington credit. That's a good 4-game stretch.
That's the toughest part of your schedule by far.
But I mean, it's easier than the last fucking first 6 weeks we had last year.
Oh, and this is hardly murderer's row. I mean, the Titans are hurting. They're
all
really
beatable.
Down on the Packers. Yeah, the Colts. Honestly, out of those 3 games, the Colts are the ones I'm worried. The Colts are in that weird them and the Cardinals. There's tiers to the NFL. I think the Cardinals and the Colts are being overlooked. I think they're actually serious contenders where people are just looking at them as a playoff team. They're like in the same level. Man, I think the Colts, when we do our preview, the Colts and the Cardinals are 2 teams that I'm going to push hard because I like their makings. I think that they're actually serious contenders that no one is giving any respect to.
We'll see. But so we have a loss to the Titans week 13. And then the Eagles go on a 3-week road trip.
Win all 3 of them.
I agree. I said that the schedule it ends nicely. That you have a little bit of competition in the beginning, then you have your bye, a little more competition to keep you, make sure we know who you are, and then you can fucking cruise to the last, 5 weeks of the season. I think they win 5 straight. I think they beat the Saints.
There's no, listen, I definitely see them. They should win 5 straight, but it's the Eagles. They definitely won't win 5 straight. And you know who they always fucking lose to, and they always struggle with. I wouldn't be surprised if you dropped one to the Saints here. Or
really,
they're gonna lose either that Giants game or the Saints. Nah, I feel confident with the Giants.
You think they're gonna split with the Giants?
They fucking always do.
All right, but would it be the week 18 or week 14? No, we have the Giants number. It's the Washington and Dallas that give us trouble. I say they sweep the Giants, and then I'll give you Chicago or New Orleans. Which one do you think they'll lose?
The Saints. I don't think. I think Chicago's gonna be really bad this year.
So, all right, they'll win the 3 weeks on the road. I can see that. And they lose back home to the Saints and then finish.
They come back to earth, yeah.
Come back to and then finish week 18. I can tell you this. Week 18 will be for the NFC East title.
Wait a minute. Listen, it won't have anything to do with the Giants. It'll be the Eagles win and they're in.
You got to let me speak first.
All right, go ahead. Well, the dogs won't let you, so go ahead.
Yeah. So we have week 18. All right. If they will calm down for a second.
I think. Listen, I think that it's too good of a feeling to say we're going to win 5 games to end the season.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think it's optimistic thinking. But what I'm saying is, week 18 comes around, the Eagles will be. Hold on, I just had it up. Will be 10-6, right? I think Dallas will be around that 9-win, 10-win because of how their schedule plays out too. So I'm saying I think this will be like if they win, they're in clinch the division type of game. Not the Giants will be like 2-12 or whatever. They'll be terrible. But yeah, so that would bring the Eagles to 11-6. I could see that 5-1 in the division.
I agree too. I
8-4 in the conference.
Listen, they're my team. I think they're going to win the division this year. I think the way the division is, the Giants are a joke. Whatever the hell their name is, I'm not sold on Carson Wentz yet, and I think the Cowboys are about to take a big drop off.
Now
they lost way too much talent to actually be competitive.
I will say they it's not going to be great for Eagles fans who go to the games because this puts the Eagles at a 5-4 home record. It's 6-2 away, but take what you can get.
Hey, you take wins where you can get them.
But I could see that. I think that's definitely a possibility. Maybe 10-7, 11-6. But I think it's a lot easier of a schedule than I thought it was going to be. I think it'll be good for them. They'll have some breaks in between, like you said. The Vikings, I think, will be a little hiccup. The Cardinals, Steelers. I don't know about the Steelers, but yeah, Colts, Packers, Titans is interesting 3 weeks in a row.
Let me paint you a picture real fast.
Okay.
I've heard this story before where the Eagles are coming off of the first, their quarterback had 1 year starting. They're into his second year now. They just acquired a number 1 wide receiver. They just drafted a defensive lineman in the first round, and they have a cakewalk of a schedule. And I'm just saying, in that story in my head, it played out pretty well for us a couple of years ago. So who knows? Things are lining up like they
wasn't that a second-year coach too?
It was. You know what? You're pretty good. This is what we bring you in here at. Hey, all I'm saying is the dots are connecting. The dots are connecting.
I will say I've been watching a couple of the team pressers, and
is Nick Foles still a free agent?
You got retire. It's always hard to tell how the team's really going to perform, but I don't know. I feel like the vibe is a little better than it's been in past years. Like a lot of the players seem to really be buying into Sirianni and even, your buddy Rich Gannon. Jonathan Gannon.
But you know what? A part of that is, and I'll give the Eagles the credit, now.
Good culture they have.
But this is the thing, is when you fully invest in a quarterback like they did, Jalen Hurts, the most important position in the team, which they've refused to do in the last 3 years. It builds everyone around it. It's the most important position. They clearly made it obvious that they are investing in Jalen Hurts and making him the guy going forward. And the team resonates with that, and they build around it.
Well,
it's the most important part. When you bring in Carson Wentz and he's your franchise guy, and then you draft Jalen Hurts, like, oh, shit, here comes the drama. It's like with the Sixers. When the drama is lingering around your locker room, you're not going to have real success. You can't have that. How do you build a culture that is covered in a black cloud of drama?
I would temper the Jalen Hurts thing because I feel like they're building a castle right now, and Throne is kind of wobbly because it's not done yet.
True.
I don't know. I think if Jalen doesn't pan out, they have the structure in place to plug and play another quarterback. But I also think, I'm rooting for Jalen. I want him to be the quarterback. But I also think it's benefiting the Eagles that they don't have to pay quarterback money to him right now, and they can spend that on the defense and getting players like AJ Brown. So,
but more importantly, when's the last time you didn't have quarterback drama or uncertainty? They made it clear that this is the guy. They're going, listen, it's the guy now. He's the guy now.
Yeah.
There is no drama. There is no drama with this team. They're rolling with it. There's no new coaches. There's no new quarterbacks. They're going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll say the biggest drama is Jalen Reagor, who deleted all the Eagles mentions in social media, like he actually has any trade value.
No, he posted one the other day of him like in uniform, but
oh, good. He came to his senses. His agent was probably like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? This is the only team that would agree to pay you. Yeah. So, well, I think we can end on that note, as we usually do. But good catch up, good recap, good optimism.
Unfortunately, we can't say go Sixers because they're fucking done.
Hey, listen, it's Philly. What we do is we just move on to the next one.
We'll see what happens with the Phillies, but right now I'm in Eagles mode. So
I am in Eagles mode too. Yeah, I think the Flyers have a top 5 draft pick. There's something. The Phillies,
number 5. Yeah.
something.
I mean, hey, let's root for the Florida Panthers. Get Claude Giroux a cup.
It's true. Yeah, that's true. There you go. There's something to root for.
Yeah.
But hey, till next time.
Alrighty. I'll catch you.
I'll talk to you. Peace.
Peace out.